right, let's get the show started, shall we? How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Shout out A Rules already in the building. I was hoping you were gonna be here. Rule changes and etc. Oh boy, here we go. Absolutely, we have a lot to talk about. A lot. I'm telling you. Do you think it's a good idea about trading or trying to get Trey Lance? Didn't we discuss this last month or something? And then in concluding, it might not be a good idea. You know, I read your comment earlier. I forgot to heart it for some reason. I like kind of skim over them and then I'll just go back and heart them later. But I honestly don't I remember talking about him. I do, but I don't remember concluding that it would be a bad idea. I think I know I concluded that it said it probably is not going to happen because that's not a Minnesota Viking move. It's not a Minnesota professional sports league move in general. It's tough. I like the idea if he's going to sit behind Kirk Cousins for at least one more year, right? Comes back to his home state, Minnesota. The other thing that worries me too, right, is the contract, because he's going to have a contract extension. He was the number 3 overall pick, so you have to pay him a buttload of money, or at least maybe pay him a buttload of money because he does have the injury problems, but he's still a top 3 pick, you know, so you're going to have to pay him some like money that he thinks he's worth, but I think that you can work that out as well. Because we still have to get the contract extension for Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson still has to get one. But I don't think it would necessarily be a terrible idea. I think it'd be an okay idea, if that makes any sense. Yeah. No. Not Odell money. Not Odell money. Absolutely. I hope he can as well. I hope Kirk can get it done. And we'll talk about that a little bit today. Kevin O'Connell made a comment on Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about that later on in the show. No. So I'm expecting Justin Jefferson to get extended maybe halfway through this season. If not halfway through the season, for sure at the end of the year. Hawkinson, I'd expect the exact same thing. His situation probably more likely going to get extended at the end of the season. But both deals could get done one after another. You have to focus on Justin Jefferson first. Have to, okay? It's a must. Then you can shift gears to TJ Hawkinson, and then after that, you kind of worry about Kirk Cousins, what you're going to do moving forward with the quarterback position, unless they decide to draft a quarterback or trade for, you know, Trey Lance or Lamar Jackson. I don't think the Lamar Jackson situation is ever going to happen, just because, again, you're going to have to sign him to a massive extension. Do we have enough money then at that point to sign Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson? I don't think so, but the whole situation's really, really interesting to say the least. You know, honestly, rules. I don't think we're gonna hear any more about Zadarius Smith, unless if we do, I think it might come draft night, because I feel like that might be the point where we trade him, get rid of him. But again, I don't know if we're gonna hear any more about Zadarius. Yeah, I can't believe he sold his house. That means he wants out, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that he thinks Brian Flores might use him in a wrong way or something. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the exact situation, but it is an interesting one. I will tell you what, though. I am one sore SOB today. Lifted for the first time yesterday in, like, I think 2 years. But let's just say I haven't lost a step. I'm back at it. Back at it. I'm going to hit arms real hard today. But we have a lot to talk about. Today we're going to talk about everything that happened since our last show ended, which is Friday. So we have Friday at 7:30 all the way till we have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way up till we started today's show. There's a lot. I skipped over a couple things because Saturday, Sunday was kind of a dead period. There were some things that happened. But today there was a lot of, because there's an owners meeting happening down in Arizona, so there's a lot of like talk and speculation about maybe proposing or changing some rules, what proposals get denied, what proposals get accepted. We'll talk about that. It's good. It's just very, very annoying. Very annoying. It don't hurt. It feels fine. It's just when I'm talking, it's so weird. Like, I wish I could explain it. But yeah, it definitely I hate it. We'll put it that way. I need to get this shit fixed, so hopefully it happens within the next week or two. But Yeah, they were all there because it's the owners meeting. So the owner's there, the GM is always there, and I believe the head coach is always there. I guess I never seen the Sean Payton on Jarrett Stidham at all. I didn't see that. I did see we're talking about him basically right away after one piece of information, but the information I'm talking about is him some trade rumors going on, but I did not hear that. I didn't even see it on a tweet or anything. So I mean, maybe it was, and I just skimmed over it or just didn't look at it or something. But what did he say? What did he say? Really? Okay. Oh, you mean my vids? Or do you mean like of them down in the owners meeting? Not really sure. All right. Sure, John is just typing away right now. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I am either. That's... am I? No, I'm not. I don't think I am. Definitely not. But shall we get started? Lots to talk about today. We'll be live for about an hour and a half, like usual, especially if there's a conversation going on. If you're in this, or if you're watching right now, make sure to drop a like. It would help a lot. And also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be much appreciated. Okay. I don't know why that thing doesn't want to work, but let's pause the music and let's get down to business. All right. So, it says he's capable of being a starter in the league. I think they signed him too. Yeah, they did. So they signed Jarrett Stidham in division. Obviously, played for the Raiders last season. I definitely think Jarrett Stidham has the capability of being a starter in this league as well. We just haven't got to see too much of it, right? Because when he got the start in New England, he didn't have any weapons to throw to. The offense was kind of lackadaisical. Like it was a check down offense because it was built for Mac Jones, right? So we didn't get to see any of Jarrett over there. And then when we did, it was okay. It was okay football. There was a couple good games. There was a couple bad games. But when he got shipped out to Las Vegas, obviously he didn't play much at all until the end of the season or something like that, or at all. But at the same time, you didn't get to see anything of him. But from what I've been hearing from around the league, from Bill Belichick or from the Patriots organization, from other insiders and stuff like that, he seems like he has the capability of being a starter. So maybe they're using him as, okay, if Russell goes down, we'll be just fine. We can bring in Jarrett, and it should be smooth sailing. Or they're looking for potentially in the future, how long are we going to keep Russell Wilson, and then we'll roll to Jarrett Stidham. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's right on with that point. I do think he's right on with that point. So basically, A-Rules, per usual, we will start with what happened from when we last were live, which is Friday, okay? And then we'll work our way to what happened today. So all the rules are basically towards the end, but then there's some other signings too right after that. And we have a lot more to talk about because there's tweets popping up left and right on my cellular device. So let's get right to the thick of things. First off and foremost, on, I believe, Saturday, this was a big signing because I didn't expect this to happen. I remember we talked about it the other day. I think it was on Friday or Thursday. We talked about, Bobby Wagner. What is his situation looking like? Seattle ended up signing another linebacker. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I do have a paper, so why not look? I'm thinking that for the future, they could have drafted the guy and saved money. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So, what do you do with that? Do you think it's just a potential? I don't know. So, it has to be just a backup for Russell Wilson at that point. It just has to be. But who did the Seattle Seahawks sign somebody that made me believe Bobby Wagner wasn't going to go back to the whatever. The Seattle Seahawks. However, I was completely wrong. I'll eat my words. I definitely was wrong. It turns out, per Seattle Seahawks, that Bobby is back, baby. We've agreed to terms with a future Hall of Famer. Bobby Wagner has agreed to terms with the Seattle Seahawks. It is a one-year deal worth $7 million. He leaves the Seattle Seahawks just a year ago to kind of chase a ring. Actually, he didn't choose to leave. He was released. He was cut by the team. Russell Wilson was traded. Both those moves in the same day blew my mind. Okay, I was like, what are we doing here? Like, we rebuilding, or what's the case? However, Bobby wanted to come back. Seattle opened it with open arms and said, let's run it back, baby. So Seattle gets their linebacker and Bobby Wagner back in the building. It's a great signing. He's already familiar with with the defense and what to do in that organization. He already knows the head coach, Pete Carroll, obviously. So everything should be smooth sailing from here on out. I like this signing for Seattle. It kind of puts them back in the mix. They have a tough division, or you could say they have a tough division because what? The Niners are always going to be tough. The Rams, they played like shit last season, so who knows what they're going to do. Then you look at the Cardinals. They are so hit or miss. Like, 2 years ago, they went on that 8-0 run or 7-0 run, whatever the case may be. They lose to the Green Bay Packers, and then they lose round one in the playoffs or something like that. Early exit. So you never know what you're going to get with the Cardinals last season. Not great. Okay? But then you look at the Seahawks, and you're like, okay, they're building. Geno Smith balled out last season. Bobby Wagner's back in the building. You still have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett on the offensive side. Running backs, don't know why it's slipping my mind. But they have a defense. They have a young defense, I think, for the most part. So their defense, I think they can get a little bit better. But they still have room for improvement. That's what I was going to look up. Depth chart. Boom. If we look at Seattle Seahawks depth chart right now, I think they're in good hands. Geno Smith. Then they got Kenneth Walker III, he balled out last season. At the end of last year, he balled out. He played some pretty good football. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett at wide receiver. Colby Parkinson, so they might need to get a tight end, but at the same time, they have Noah Fant right after Colby. Their offensive line is a little iffy. Going to have to draft some offensive linemen there for Seattle. On the defensive side of things, linebacker crew, they're solid. Safeties, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, solid. Corners, Mike Jackson, Tariq Woolen, decent enough, okay? Then you look at their defensive line. They could maybe use some work, but Draymond Jones, Brian Mooney, I don't know how you say his last name, Jaron Reed, and Darrell Taylor, I think they're headed in the right direction. This was just a welcome back party, basically. You want to come back? Yes. Okay, here's the paper. 1 year, $7 million, sign it here. And that's what he did. Bobby Wagner is back with the Seattle Seahawks after leaving to go to the Los Angeles Rams because he was released and he decided to sign there, chase a ring, and they were far from one. They were far from getting a ring. So, Bobby Wagner back with the Seattle Seahawks. Decent enough signing. John says, back to the Jarrett Stidham thing. Also would have to talk about a third rounder I don't know if Peyton is sold on Russell unless they want to try lighting a fire under Russell. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're... You could say that. You could say that they're not sold on Russell, but maybe they're not sold on Russell being healthy the entire season, if that makes any sense. Because last year he was riddled with injuries, played like, doo-doo, didn't do great on the football field, and still continued to play through it, and you've seen the record, you've seen how little points they were putting on the scoreboard, right? So I think it kind of goes back to, can he stay healthy? And I don't think he has faith in that. So that's why he decided to sign a vet that's been in the league that has the potential or has the capability of being a starter. So maybe that's the reason. But again, it's very interesting because they could have just drafted one this season, right? Because what is Seattle Denver has a pretty decent draft pick. No, they don't have a first round. Denver does not have a first round draft pick. Okay, so then you're looking at third round, second round, potentially taking one. That's even a little iffy. You don't know if that's going to happen. Ooh, excuse me. That was weird. But I don't know. Speaking of Sean Payton, there was a lot of rumors going around, not only this week, but basically since the start of free agency, that the Denver Broncos were open. We're open to trading either Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy or even both of them. Okay, that was actually very, very loud. I'm not sure what they would have gotten in return. I think there was thoughts of maybe Green Bay. I don't know how you would do, what are you going to get, just some draft picks back, maybe get your first round pick back or something like that, even though How are you going to get a first-round pick for Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton? You probably get a second, maybe a third-round pick for him. Or you send him to the Jets, you get Elijah Moore, kind of a flip-flop of wide receivers. However, being that all the owners, the head coaches and stuff like that, GMs are down at these owner meetings down in Arizona currently, Sean Payton had a chance to talk to the media, and this is a report from Ian Rappaport where he basically laid out this. He said, Broncos coach Sean Payton addresses the rumors of possible trades involving Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, telling Tom Pelissero, I see and read just like everyone else, okay? But we're not trading those two players. I believe I read the other day where he said, we're in the business of finding and keeping talent, not giving it away or something. It was something along those lines. He's like, we're in the business of getting good players, not getting rid of good players. Something along those lines, and something that's going to help the team and stuff like that. And when I seen that this was a possible, chance that Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy gets traded, I was like, okay, but you just drafted Jerry Jeudy just 2-3 years ago or something like that. Is supposed to be a dog. He hasn't really had too much production. He's had decent production. And then you look at Cortland Sutton, same type of guy. The three receivers that Denver has right now, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy, I like them all. I think it's a perfect trio, especially for Denver. Maybe not for Russell Wilson, so maybe that was what the rumors were all speculating. Maybe, Team 3 and Russell Wilson kind of leaked those things. But obviously, if that were the case, then I'm sure Sean Payton would know. But those rumors are completely false. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy are going to remain Denver Broncos, but you never know. We can be thrown for a little twist. Every season, every draft day, there's some type of twist that you're like, oh my God, did that just happen? Last year, A.J. Brown gets traded from the Tennessee Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles mid-draft. It's like, okay, whoa, why did you trade them? Like, why did you make this happen? And how pissed is Mike Vrabel right now? Like, there's always something that just happens that you're like, that shouldn't have happened. That probably wasn't going to happen, and now all of a sudden it does. So this situation certainly could change in the future. Not really sure if it will, but Russell Wilson has two weapons right now, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, that intend at least to stay on the squad for now anyways. You never know what's going to happen. Sean Payton can make up his mind and just get rid of them. But other than that, let's move forward. So speaking of the draft, obviously it's coming up. It's April 27th, I believe, is a Thursday. That is, I want to say that's round one. That doesn't make sense. I'm not sure if that's when draft coverage begins. Okay, so NFL 2023. Oh, not 2093. Jesus Christ, I'll be dead by then. NFL draft or how do I want to say that? Draft date. Boom. Yeah, okay, perfect. So the 2023 NFL Draft starts Thursday, April 27th on 2023, obviously, and then it goes through Saturday, April 29th. Okay, so last day, not too shabby. The first full round will be obviously on Thursday in Kansas City. So we're going to look at the draft picks, who has the most picks, fewest picks, stuff like that. This was a tweet from Field Yates that kind of laid it out and what to expect in this year's draft. So there could be multiple, I'm talking like a lot of trades happening just because of like what this shows, like what this graphic shows or what this tweet shows. It's kind of interesting. So let's take a look. It says 1 month until the NFL draft. Okay, we're 1 month away, actually a day less than a month, obviously. But the most picks, the teams that have the most picks in the NFL draft are the Texans and the Raiders. They both have 12. So you can either look to them to either keep those picks and just draft a bunch of new guys, or you could see or potentially see these guys kind of, how do you want to say it? Like trading these picks to get something back in return, whatever the case may be, maybe flip-flopping some picks and stuff like that. But the Texans Raiders have 12 total draft picks this year. The fewest picks are the Miami Dolphins. They only have 4. So you could look at a Texans Dolphins trade potentially, or a Raiders Dolphins trade, something along those lines to give them back a first round. Of Miami, I believe it's Miami, got their first round pick basically stripped, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was either them or somebody else. There's a team that got their draft pick stripped from them because of some finagling. No, it was the Houston Texans. Excuse me. I believe it was the Houston Texans that got their draft pick taken from them. It might have been Miami as well, but can't remember off the top of my head. It is what it is. But they have the fewest picks, multiple first picks. So this is multiple picks in the first round. The Texans have multiple first-round picks. The Seattle Seahawks have multiple first-round picks. The Lions and the Eagles both have multiple first-round picks. I believe the Eagles have these multiple first-round picks because of, what was it? They did a trade just a couple years ago. I can't remember John, do you remember, if you're still watching, who that was or what happened in that whole situation? Because they received a bunch of first-round picks, but I can't remember if it was for... it was the Carson Wentz. I think they trading Carson Wentz to Indianapolis. They got a bunch of first-round picks. I think that was what happened here. But they have multiple first-round picks. The teams that don't have a first-round pick are the Cleveland Browns, the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Miami Dolphins. All teams excluding the Rams, I think you could say, don't need a first-round pick. But I think if you're the Rams, you would love to have a first-round pick this year. Just because the way the season went last year, you want to rebuild. Like, not really rebuild, but you want to add more firepower there. And the first round is where you got to do that, especially if you want a guy, like a quote-unquote dog, if you will. Because they did lose Jalen Ramsey. Okay, he's gone. He's out of the building. He's down in Miami. They lose Bobby Wagner in free agency. He's over in Seattle now. OBJ is still on the market as a free agent, so maybe they look at bringing him in, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But the Browns, you really don't need the first-round pick. I mean, you could, obviously, to help out a little bit. Broncos, you really don't, unless you want to, replace Bradley Chubb or whatever the case may be. The Niners, you definitely don't need a first-round pick. I mean, that team is damn good. They're full of dogs. And Miami, again, full of dogs. Okay, they're fine. They don't need a first-round pick. But the Los Angeles Rams, I feel like, are one of those teams that definitely would benefit from having a first-round pick. Teams with the most top 100 picks are the Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have 5 picks in the top 100, selections. That is bonkers. I would definitely look at the Texans as potentially trading some of those picks. I can definitely see that happening. That's just probably what's going to happen. Oh, no, you're good. If it's the farewell letter from when he originally left the Vikings or when he originally got cut, I think I did read it. But if it's actually like recent, then I don't think I seen it then. But I'm pretty sure he wrote a farewell letter when he left, if I'm not mistaken. And then the teams with the fewest top 100 picks is the 49ers. They only have 1. So like I said again, they are one of those teams that you don't need a first-round pick. You don't need a top-tier pick because your team's already too damn good. So you can give it to some other people. But those are kind of what we're looking at right here with the most picks, fewest picks, stuff like that in this year's draft. So that is that. The draft is right around the corner, just a month away, and I am super excited for that. I cannot wait because my Minnesota Vikings select the 24th overall pick. And I'm hoping we go corner. There's rumors going around we might take Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, or I believe, Tennessee. Yeah, that's right, Tennessee. So I don't know what they're going to do, but it's always intriguing the first round to kind of see what type of movement happens, what type of trades happen. Who's going to go number 1 overall? It's going to be C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Are they going to trade out of that first round pick and go for the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes? Doubt that's going to happen. But then you kind of go on and on and on. What are teams kind of trying to look like in the future or in the upcoming season? So lots to look forward to. Draft, again, starts the first round Thursday, April 27th. Let's see, time. I believe it starts, 7? Come on, give me the time. That's all I care. Yeah, okay. Yep. So 7 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, April 29th is when, or 27th, is when the draft starts. So we have a little ways to do. Okay, that's the link. Let's see if I can copy and paste. I'm going to check and see if this is just his. Oh, well, it says can't find the page you requested. Interesting. All right. Well, if anything, you can just post it in like one of the comment sections or something on one of the videos, and I'll kind of look at it. But I'm pretty sure that might just be his farewell letter when he left, but it wouldn't let me see it. It said it can't be reached. So let's move forward. Let's move forward to the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, I think at least some of us know that they've been kind of looking at the potential possibility of building a new stadium. Nobody was really sure if it was going to happen, but they, with this type of success that they've had recently, it was kind of, the writing on the wall was there. Okay, we need a new stadium. We're good enough. Plus, we have a very old stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure how old is the Buffalo Bills stadium, because I think it's an older one. Jesus Christ. So the Buffalo Bills Stadium, Highmark Stadium, is actually 50 years old, right? So it's time for a little upgrade, okay? We need new amenities. The bathrooms, smell like piss or whatever the case may be. It's just how it is after 50 years. It's going to smell that way. I doubt it. I've never been there, so I'm just joking. But they have officially, per Ari Mirov, released renderings of how their new stadium, of the Art Stadium, may look when construction is complete in 2026. So they're going to do it. They're building a new stadium. And this is kind of what it's going to look like. I tried to pull these pictures, but some reason on Twitter, when you click the picture, it's super, super blurry. So I hope this does it justice. Not really sure if it is, but I really like the layout. It's kind of like a canopy type build. Not really. It kind of looks like SoFi without the top on it, if that makes any sense. So it's interesting that they're sticking with an outdoor stadium, being that they have such, horrible weather there in Buffalo. But I think, snow games are what everyone kind of is pumped to watch. Snow game. Like when you watch a football game in the snow, it is so much fun. It just brings you back to those good old days when you're like 5 years old, 6 years old, just watching football for the first time and stuff like that. But this is kind of what their new stadium is going to look like, or might look like, when construction is complete in 2026. So there's still a couple years, about 3 years before this is officially done and over with. So it's going to be a while until we get to see exactly how this stadium looks in the end. But I'm pumped for it. I think this looks good. What do you guys think? Do you like this little stadium? Not better than US Bank, I'll tell you that. What's up, Ron? Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Speaking of which, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and drop a like on this stream. It'd be much, much appreciated. But here's what the Bills Stadium or may end up looking like, I guess. So we'll see. I think this is the same renderings that they showed, or that got leaked not too long ago. I can't remember how many months ago it was released, but they definitely released it before. So yeah, I'm doing fantastic, Ron. I'm having a great day. A little annoyed by my tooth, but that is okay. Having a great time, though. Very, very sore. Very sore. Very sore. We'll put an emphasis on that. But yeah, man. Let's move forward to the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. Some very interesting pieces of information came out this weekend where it had me going like, oh, damn. Okay. Things are starting to heat up. What is going on? Well, apparently, obviously, Lamar Jackson gets the unrestricted free agent tag, which basically he has the opportunity to go talk to other teams. Those other teams can make an offer to Lamar Jackson, and then the Baltimore Ravens can either match that offer and Lamar stays at Baltimore Ravens, or the Ravens can reject that offer, and then that team has to sign Lamar Jackson and send 2 first-round picks and probably more over to the Baltimore Ravens. So we all heard about that. Okay, but what we didn't hear about, and it was very interesting, right, is what Lamar Jackson posted on Twitter. Here's what he had to say. He said, a letter to my fans. Okay? I want to first thank you all for all the love and support you consistently show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions. Okay. In regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization, for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me know I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You are all great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland, okay? You'll see me again, trust, all right? So Lamar Jackson releases this statement, and it has you wondering, why wasn't this released earlier? It's because the Ravens didn't want you to know. So Lamar Jackson decided to go on his own little 2 feet and release it himself, because the Ravens weren't doing him any good. And plus, I think it's because that Lamar Jackson wants teams to start, taking a call. Let's start calling Lamar Jackson. He wants out. He requested a trade. Let's try to get him in the building. Okay? So when you look at that, right, the timing of this is really interesting. Because John Harbaugh, the Ravens organization, all these owners and GMs, they're all down at the owners meeting. Okay? We already know that. But as soon as John Harbaugh sits down to talk to media, that is when Lamar Jackson decided to release this statement. Right away. He knew when John Harbaugh was sitting down in front of that media, tweets this. Everybody that was around John Harbaugh at the time was like, oh my God. Oh my God. What is going on right now? Like, John Harbaugh had everything ready to rock and roll. He could answer all these questions, and then bam, he's hit with this, where basically at the time when they asked him about the situation and about Lamar saying that he requested a trade, John Harbaugh said that he hadn't seen the tweet at that point. I'm sure he has by now. And anticipates, though, that Lamar Jackson's going to be quarterback 1 for the Baltimore Ravens. I doubt it. Because Lamar has, he's turned down some offers from the Ravens, not publicly, like we don't know, but I'm sure he's turned down 1 or 2. But he said right there, the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value, which means meeting him contractually, right? Trying to give him the money that he deserves. They have not had any interest in that at all. Okay, so that was red flag number 1, right? The unrestricted free agent tag was red flag number 2. Okay, we're not going to pay you what you want, so we're going to allow other teams to make an offer, and if it's in our ballpark, we'll sign you for that, and then you're stuck here. Okay, sounds good. However, apparently the situation's not over, and I'm hearing reports coming out that Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are constantly negotiating or still in negotiations right now about a contract extension, so it could get done. I just hope that Lamar's not taking it too far, because he deserves his money. He deserves more than what Deshaun Watson got, plain and simple, okay? I think that's realistic. He's way better. Yes, he has the injury problem and the injury history and stuff like that, but now Arthur Banks or whatever, owner of the Falcons, said this whole situation is completely different from Deshaun. Well, yeah, sure. Definitely way different, right? But you gave $230 million fully guaranteed to a guy that allegedly did some bad things. Okay? And if he did those bad things, shouldn't be in the NFL. Okay? But he was proved not guilty. But Lamar Jackson only has an injury history. Okay? Couple injuries here and there. That can be fixed. He could be fine. Imagine if he goes on another run. He's been an MVP before. He's been to a Pro Bowl. He's won a playoff game. Oh, and he hasn't missed a whole 2 years of football. So, right then and there, just off those facts, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson deserves more than $230 million fully guaranteed. Okay? And I don't care if fully guaranteed contracts aren't good for the league or what. He deserves that money, and he's going to get it. And I hope he doesn't get lowballed, because if he gets lowballed, there's a great chance that Lamar Jackson sticks to this trade request, and Baltimore will have to deal him anyways, and they probably won't get as much in return for him. It'd probably be a first round. It might be actually the exact same if you think about it, I guess. The contract won't be as much, but at the same time, I don't know. This whole situation is really weird. Lamar Jackson, I think, is just trying to get the gears turning, trying to get teams to kind of look his way and be like, okay, you piquing my interest a little bit. Let's see let's dabble in Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. But nothing has really happened along those lines, at least at this point right now. So we'll kind of keep an eye on it as it goes. It's going to be a topic of discussion for quite some time now and throughout the future. So Lamar Jackson has requested a trade. We found that out this weekend. Also, We also found a little piece of information that goes back to what A Rules brought up earlier. I did a video, so I'm host of the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate channel, and I did a video on Trey Lance. And I said trade for Lance, basically. It's like the Minnesota Vikings should trade for Trey Lance. Now, you asked me why, right? Well, the 49ers GM, John Lynch, released a pretty interesting little quote where it basically laid out that Trey Lance might not be the guy. And so, yeah, I could see him sitting out, but that would almost hurt you. That would almost hurt him. But let's go back to the Trey Lance stuff. So he released this little information. This is a tweet from Nick Wagner, I believe is how you say his name, or Wagner. Yeah, I don't know. Nick Wagner is his name, okay? He's an insider, I believe, for one of the teams. He said, 49ers GM John Lynch with biggest endorsement of Brock Purdy as starter yet. He said, I think Brock has earned the right with the way he played, that he's probably the leader in the clubhouse at that. If we were to line up, he'd probably take the first snap. All right. We found out who the 49ers starting quarterback is. It is Brock Purdy. However, there's a little bump in the road that we have yet to figure out. Brock Purdy had to get surgery on his throwing arm, okay? Not great, not good at all. Apparently, he might not be ready for quite some time. There's a chance he might not be ready for another 6 months or something like that. And I think what John Lynch said, probably won't be ready till maybe week 1, week 4, somewhere around there we can expect it, but there's a chance that he could be ready before that. It all depends on how the rehab goes and stuff like that. So if that's the case, and he's out for 6 months or whatever the case may be, and he doesn't play till week 3, week 4, that means you have to keep Trey Lance, or they did make a signing in the offseason, right? Sam Darnold. So they have Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold. Okay? Right. Absolutely. So if they have those three, you can get rid of one of them. So get rid of Trey Lance. You sign Sam Darnold, 1-year deal, nice backup behind Purdy. Beautiful. We love it. Trade Trey Lance to Minnesota, please and thank you. Okay, so Brock Purdy seems to be like the starter over there with San Fran. We watched his incredible end of the season last year. I mean, this dude, he straight up balled out. I can't remember. Let's go look at his stats. Wasn't he like 5-0 or 7-0 or something like that last season? It was ridiculous, the type of run. Yeah, 1,374 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay, he did have a QBR of 65.6, but how? I don't understand that. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, he looked decent. He looked like a starting caliber quarterback in the National Football League. We don't want Sam Darnold. I ain't saying that, hell no. We do not need Sam Darnold, but we do need Trey Lance. I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that. Sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year, but it sounds as if Brock Purdy is going to be the main guy for the San Francisco 49ers going forward. However, I did also hear that John Lynch did say, or Kyle Shanahan, their head coach, said there's going to be an open quarterback battle between Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold to see who wants to win it or see who's going to win it and stuff like that. But this statement right here, right there, tells me Brock Purdy's the guy going forward in San Fran. So we got a little piece of information there from that. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward. Another quarterback situation that we have to talk about. One we've been waiting for. The Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. The hell's going on? That's all I got to say. What's taking so long? It makes no sense. Can we, speed this process up a little bit? We're going to talk about Brian Gutekunst in just a second because he fumbled his words. He contradicted himself a couple times. This dude absolutely looked like a buffoon, and I can't wait to roast him a little bit. Not really roast him, but I'll give you my 2 cents on what he did. This whole situation with Aaron Rodgers, it needs to get figured out real quick. And the media today met with the Jets GM Joe Douglas, in which they talked about Aaron Rodgers, and then they kind of had a little snippet of talking about OBJ and stuff, the potential possibility of that. I mean, there's no rush, but if you're going to do it, do it. There's no rush. I just think if you want to move forward, rip the Band-Aid off, get over it type of thing, right? Even though it's hard, it's easier said than done. We understand that, okay? They do have about 3 weeks. They could do a draft night, but that would just be ridiculous because if you do a draft night, that's going to be the story of the night. And I don't think the NFL necessarily would want that. Maybe the Packers would want that, but I think you want to make it all about the picks on draft night, at least the first 3 picks or the first 5 picks. But yeah, there isn't that much. There isn't a reason to rush things at all. So here's what the Jets GM had to talk about, or had to speak on about Aaron Rodgers and what is potentially happening with the situation. He said, or Mike Garafolo said, GM Joe Douglas on Aaron Rodgers trade talks with the Packers. He said, there's been, some productive conversations. We're not where we need to be yet, but I feel we're in a good place. There's no hard deadline. There's not a ton of urgency from our standpoint, but very optimistic. Okay, so right back to John's point. What's the rush? Joe Douglas said there is no rush. Okay, there's not too much urgency on this whole standpoint, I guess you could say, but they are optimistic that this is going to get done, and I'd assume it's going to get done. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet one way or another. It's just going to take some time. They're going to have to figure out the complete details on this, how much or what the contract's actually going to look like. What does the roster currently look like and stuff like that. John says, I think we will find out soon that second Jets traded for him, I'm assuming, is a part of the trade possibility of 2 seconds. Yeah, I did see that. So instead of 2 firsts, I think it's they want 2 second-round picks, which would make sense. Maybe they want other weapons as well, because you're not just maybe they want just 2 picks. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if they'd have to restructure his contract because he's currently under what, $50 million guaranteed the next 2 seasons, I believe. So the Jets could restructure it, or they could just push it down to kind of help the salary cap out a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how the whole situation's currently going. But yeah, that's kind of what it's looking right at this point. So that is kind of what they're talking about with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. They then follow it up with a little piece on OBJ and what that might look like. John says, an escalation if he only plays a year versus 3 seasons if they or win a Super Bowl compensation for both situations on both sides makes this trade difficult. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because if you're the Jets, you're like, how long are you going to play for? You going to play for 1 year and then dip? Or are you going to play for 2 years? Or are we going to extend you for 3 years and you're going to be here for 3 years? What's the case here? Because if you can sign for 1 year, we don't want you. I could see that being a case, but at the same time, it is Aaron Rodgers. You might want him for 1 year and stuff like that. But if they suck, he's going to be pissed. He's going to be really, really pissed if that happens. But I don't know. I want it done. I want the trade done. I want to see what happens so I can, make some content about it or something like that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I do agree. But then the Jets GM had to answer a question following OBJ, okay? And it had this to say. Douglas says a visit to the Jets, Odell Beckham, is possible, but it's not on the calendar as of yet. Confirms, though, he's had productive conversations, with Odell's agent, Zeke Sandu. So Douglas says they feel good about the wide receiver room, but Beckham is an opportunity to add a unique player. Now, they do have a deep wide receiver room, if I'm not mistaken. They have Garrett Wilson. Damn. Who else? They just signed somebody. Why can't I got so much on my plate. It's just like I can't keep track of everything. I try my best. Corey Davis. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay. So they have Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Allen Lazard. I knew they signed somebody. Why couldn't I remember Allen Lazard? Jeez Louise. That's what you get. That's what you get for doing this. That's what you get. Oh well. So they have a decent wide receiver room, but if you add Odell Beckham Jr. into the mix, boy, oh boy. I mean, this wide receiver quadruplets, something like that. I don't know how you would pronounce that. Would be phenomenal. It would be absolutely phenomenal. Imagine running spread offense. You have 2 receivers over here, 2 receivers over here. It's Allen Lazard, OBJ, Garrett Wilson, and Corey Davis, and he got A-Rod or Aaron Rodgers in the backfield slinging that thing. I mean, oh my God, straight fireworks. Straight fireworks, especially if Odell Beckham is 100% healthy. That offense would be explosive. It'd be absolutely bonkers. The Jets would be headed in the right direction. Breece Hall, too, in the backfield. Like, we're talking some straight dogs. Plus, they got Tyler Conklin at tight end. Their offensive line is young. I mean, they're looking real solid. Top 5D, absolutely, especially with Robert Saleh as their head coach. I mean, you're looking at the Jets potentially going on a Super Bowl run. Potentially. Like, if you add OBJ to the mix, I'm not sure how much he wants. It's not $20 million. He doesn't want $20 million. He said, hey, look, I want to know where that tweet is of me saying, or that quote of me saying I wanted $20 million. All I said is I ain't want 4, or 4 is not enough. Which, I mean, yeah, obviously, 1 year, $7 million wouldn't be bad, would it? Be pretty cheap. Restructure Aaron's contract. Maybe put some voidable years on there. Push it down the line. Yeah, just got to get past Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, they're so damn good. The Chiefs are. Oh, Mahomes is a dog. Like, he is an absolute dog. Oh, I got to sneeze. God damn. Came out of nowhere. But backtracking on this Aaron Rodgers situation. Brian Gutekunst, Packers GM, is hilarious. Absolute buffoon, in my opinion. Trying to save his own ass is basically what happened last night. He had a press conference. I don't know if you guys know who Tom Grassi is. He was listening to it and stuff or whatever. I had the Denver Broncos Syndicate host, Gage Madrid, was also watching and stuff, and he's saying he was contradicting himself back and forth. But basically, we're going to lay it out right here. Boom. This is about Aaron Rodgers, okay? This is the Packers GM trying to save his own ass, okay? Packers GM Brian Gutekunst just met with a small group of media here in Phoenix. There's no timeline on trading Aaron Rodgers, hoping soon, okay? Doesn't necessarily need a first-round pick, okay? We already know that. Any chance Rodgers plays for Green Bay again? Not trending that way, but all options are on the table, all right? If he comes back, we'll welcome him with open arms. Follows it up with saying Gutekunst also responded in limited fashion to Rodgers' comments on the Pat McAfee show, saying that they tried many times to have conversations with Rodgers about returning to Green Bay, but it never happened. Eventually, Green Bay had to make decisions, and Rodgers' agent said he wants to go to the Jets. Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. But we're going to read the whole statement. We're going to read this statement right here. Okay? From Brian Gutekunst. You come out of the season, you have a lot of conversations, not only with Aaron, but with the rest of the team, coaches, and everybody. And as you go through that process, you kind of get an idea of where you're going to move as a team, how you're going to move forward. I think I was really looking forward to the conversations with Aaron to see how he fit into that. Those never transpired. Okay, so there came a time where we kind of had to make some decisions. So we went through his representatives to kind of talk to him about where we're going with our team. And at that point, they informed us they would like to be traded to the Jets. Okay. Asked why those vital talks about Rodgers' place within the club's future never took place, other than right after the season, despite reaching out many times, Gutekunst answered, I can't really put it on anybody. They just never did transpire. Okay. A lot of attempts and went through that. But at the same time, again, we're always looking out for what's best for Green Bay Packers. As time went on, we kind of had to move. All right. Well, from what I can tell you, is it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm going to believe Aaron Rodgers on this point. Okay, and I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago. If he would have asked me, I would have been like, oh, Rodgers is pulling a fast one here. But getting to know him via the Pat McAfee show and getting to know how his brain works a little bit, not really getting to know him personally, obviously, but who he is and how he thinks and how he talks. He was blatantly obvious when he said, look, talk to Green Bay before I went in the darkness. They told me I have as much time as I need before I make a decision. Let me know after the darkness. Okay. But if you remember, when he went into the darkness, this is when we start hearing Rodgers to the Jets is going to happen. While he was in the darkness. No phone, no media. Just him in a pitch black house. Okay? Rodgers comes out of the darkness. Looks at his phone. Sees a bunch of stuff. Articles, tweets, text messages. Oh my God, have you seen that basically the Packers were shopping Aaron Rodgers? He's seen that. That's what he said, okay? He's seen that. And said, okay, you don't want me? I'll leave. I intend to play for the Jets now. So I think what we're seeing right here with Gutekunst is him basically trying to save his ass by saying, "Oh no, we tried to reach out. He just wasn't talking to us anymore." Well, did you forget that he was in the darkness retreat? Couldn't have forgotten because he told you. He told him that he was going on a darkness retreat. But Rodgers, the Packers are trying to make this look bad on Rodgers. And I believe Aaron, 100%. I believe Aaron was very transparent with what he said. Green Bay's never been transparent with Aaron Rodgers. Gutekunst, remember a year ago, that whole situation, Aaron Rodgers was diving off cliffs in Hawaii or whatever the case may be, and there was this whole situation, he's not going to be a Green Bay Packer, he's going to retire, what's going on, what's the holdup, and stuff like that. It's because, or even not even drafting weapons and stuff, Aaron's going to be pissed about that because he has no say in what might potentially go or get put into that offense, who's going to get drafted and stuff like that. When you're a future Hall of Famer, you should have the ability to help make decisions, especially when it comes to the offense, right? I think that just makes sense. But they never had that. So the relationship has been soured from the get-go. It's been a bad term relationship. Now they might have fixed it a little bit. They don't hate each other, obviously, but they definitely don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Okay? Rodgers knows what he wants, seen all the bullshit that was said about him, and all the tweets and the social media stuff about the Packers shopping him, and said, okay, you want to move on to the Jordan Love era, we'll move on. But he also said on the Pat McAfee show that, look, if I wouldn't have won back-to-back MVPs, they would have moved on from me already. We would have seen Jordan Love this year instead of Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers doesn't win back-to-back MVPs. But they decided to hold on, sign him to a 3-year, $150 million fully guaranteed contract. Okay? If that doesn't happen, it's Jordan Love. So Rodgers, this whole situation is kind of like, this is Green Bay's fault. This ain't my fault. This is Green Bay's fault. Gutekunst is saying, no. It's his fault for not talking to us because he went to the darkness. It's basically what it's kind of saying. Not really saying that, but it's kind of what it's laying out. Like Gutekunst, now this ain't the full like article or the full like transcript of what he said, but it basically goes along those lines of him saying, "Oh no, we reached out many times. We tried to talk to him. He just wasn't responding. They just came out and said we're going to be traded to the Jets. That's what we want. All right, signed, sealed, delivered." Now maybe that's true. Maybe some of it's true, but I don't think it is. I think Rodgers said they weren't transparent with him. They said that they said have enough time after the darkness. We'll meet up with you again. Maybe they reached out to him after he was done with the darkness and he never said anything. But at the same time, it was right after the darkness where he decided, we're going to play for the Jets. So I don't know what the situation's kind of looking like, but that is what I've seen. And it's very interesting. It is very, very interesting how this is going to play out. And I don't know how you feel about this, John. Like, who do you believe, John? Who do you believe the most? Because when I see all this, it's just like, okay, Aaron laid it out much more professionally than Brian did, if that makes any sense. Like, Aaron didn't hide anything. 8-9 missed the playoffs, didn't show up in the offseason to work with young receivers. It was time to go anyway, regardless of how it happened. We couldn't restart him fresh if we left. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Didn't show up, yeah. I mean, but you're Aaron Rodgers. I suppose they're young receivers. You have to build that chemistry. That's just what has to happen. But then with that being said, too, like you're looking, last year, it's like the same situation. It's just they decided to take a chance. Right? Kinda, in a way. Absolutely. But that's also another reason where I was like, why not stay one more year in Green Bay? Because year 2 with those receivers and Aaron Rodgers, oh my God. Like are you talking like the success portion of it? Or like how it really went? Like it could have gone better, you're saying. And it was because Aaron didn't build that chemistry early on in like training camp and like the off season. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I think you can say that. I really do. Still at Allen Lazard, but I mean, one receiver ain't going to get it done, obviously. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So that's coming from a Packer fan, guys. Like, John is a diehard Packer fan, so he knows a little bit what's going on in that situation. And his opinion definitely needs to be held in high regards when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. So that situation's still a little rocky. We'll kind of see what happens moving forward with that whole thing. It'll be interesting how it pans out. It really will be. They got to quit taking shots at each other. Aaron hasn't said a word from what I've heard since the Pat McAfee show. He's kind of kept quiet. And now this is just, Green Bay's turn to kind of shine, if you will. But, hey, it's love season, baby. We'll see what happens with Jordan down there or over there in Green Bay. Should be fun. Should be exciting to watch with that young crew they got over there. Hopefully they get him another weapon this offseason. They necessarily don't need one, but it would be nice. It would be nice. In other news, the Washington Commanders were apparently never in on Lamar Jackson. Ron Rivera and Ron Rivera and their GM basically said they're moving forward with Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell as their quarterbacks. They don't need Lamar Jackson. They never wanted Lamar Jackson. We got two guys, and we're going to keep those two guys. Jacoby Brissett, he's started in this league. He's had spurts of him, playing pretty decent ball. But I think since then, he's kind of declined massively. He played with, Cleveland last year? Yeah. Yep. But Jacoby Brissett played for Cleveland last year, did a decent job. So right now, I think it's Jacoby's job. I think Jacoby's going to be the starting quarterback. But Sam Howell, he was drafted last season. Really didn't get to see the field too much. But I think there's some potential there that Washington's hoping they can get out of him. Yeah. Absolutely, John. Absolutely. So Washington's moving forward with Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell. They are officially out of Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. Also, the Cincinnati Bengals have signed tight end Irv Smith Jr. to a 1-year deal. That happened last night. That was pretty big news. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot Irv Smith was actually a free agent. I thought he was still on the Vikings roster, but I'm a dummy sometimes. So it is what it is. Bengals, Joey Burrow, Joe Shiesty, whatever you want to call him. He gets a new tight end in Irv Smith Jr. Good luck, pal. Probably never going to see the field. He's always hurt. He gets hurt right away in training camp. He goes through this little spiel where I'm back for a game. Gets hurt immediately, and then you don't see him for the rest of the season. So I wish him nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully his injuries, clean up a little bit, and he can actually play some football, because I was pumped about this guy when we drafted him, and he just turned out to be a complete bust. But we got TJ Hawkinson now, so see you later. See you later, Irv. Irv Smith, 1-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, Sean McVay confirms that the Rams do have interest in bringing Odell Beckham Jr. back in the building. Why wouldn't you? I mean, especially on that Super Bowl, or during that Super Bowl, could have been Super Bowl MVP, stuff like that. So the Rams are definitely interested in bringing back OBJ, especially after the atrocious season that they had last year. Worst title defense in NFL history, I do believe. Worst title defense in NFL history. So OBJ back to the Rams. Could happen. Will it? I don't know. It definitely could. But that's left for speculation. All right. Got a couple more things here. Let's talk about the Vikings head coach who talked on Kirk Cousins and that whole situation over today at the owners' meeting, where Ian Rappaport said Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell on quarterback Kirk Cousins set to play out his contract. He said, I'm just excited for year 2 for him in this offseason. My goal is for 2023 to be one of the best seasons of his career. And when that happens, you hear that? It's going to be a great thing for the Minnesota Vikings, baby. We're talking Lombardis. We're talking parties. We're talking champs of the world, baby, with Kirk Cousins. I'm pumped. I'm okay with it. But, this statement basically just said, yeah, we're rolling with Kirk Cousins this year. We'll see what happens down the line. Not really sure. Pumped for it. If he has a fantastic season, going to be the franchise guy, going to sign him to a massive extension, stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. But if it's not a great season, and when it doesn't happen, we're going to have to find a new guy. And that new guy is in San Fran right now. He goes by the name of Trey Lance from Marshall, Minnesota. Me too. I love Primetime Kirk. I don't. I do not love Primetime Kirk. He drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts. Needs to be better. But, I mean, this is just a little statement. For me, it's just kind of like saying, All right, yeah, I'm excited for year 2. We'll see what happens moving forward. That's kind of what this means to me. So Kirk Cousins still obviously the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. The Atlanta Falcons also not in on the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. This is per Ari Mirov. The Falcons head coach Arthur Smith reiterated today that the plan is for Desmond Ridder to be their starting quarterback, and they expect to see significant growth out of him. Okay, now Desmond Ridder, I don't believe he had a bad season last year. He didn't play too much. I got to see him play in person, not too bad. Yeah, didn't play too much at all. 708 yards, 2 touchdowns, had an 86.4 quarterback rating. No interceptions, so that's pretty decent. I really wasn't for sure why they decided to pull out of the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, but obviously they see something there within Desmond Ridder, but he just needs to get his touchdowns up. That offense was kind of not great last season. I do believe they got him some weapons this year, so it should be a little bit better, but Atlanta plans on rolling with Desmond Ridder this season. Should be exciting. I think he'll do just fine, but we're really going to get to see who Desmond Ridder really is as an NFL athlete. Okay, so Atlanta is rolling with Desmond Ridder. All right. We also talked about the Washington Commanders potentially being up for sale and potential Canadian billionaire Steve Apostolopoulos or something like that. Can't say his last name. Don't really care. But he's a billionaire, so I apologize. Okay, I apologize. I butchered that last name. But we officially have a couple bids for the Washington Commanders franchise to be the new owners. And the first one is the Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales group, which now includes Magic Johnson, officially has submitted a fully financed bid that meets Dan Snyder's $6 billion asking price per source. And then the second one, Canadian billionaire Steve Apostolopoulos. I don't know. Every time I try to say it, it's not going to go well. Also has submitted a fully funded $6 billion offer for the Commanders, sources tell Schefter and Windhurst ESPN. With two groups known to have submitted bids, there is a growing belief the Commanders could be sold before the NFL draft, which would be fantastic. Dan Snyder is an absolute scumbag, piece of poop, if you will. Do not like the guy, especially after I heard what was going on in that whole situation. And he is probably going to find his way out. Now, he actually set this offer, or Dan Snyder said, I want $6 billion for it, which is 25 times the amount that he bought it for when he originally originally bought the Washington Commanders, became their owner. So he's making a lot of money if he does sell. So two of these guys, or both these groups, are potentially going to be buying. I think how it kind of works or kind of goes down is that they talk to Dan Snyder and the owner, and whoever has the best pitch or something like that gets to buy the organization. I'm not sure how it all goes down, but there's been two bids officially for the Washington Commanders, so it should be sold soon, potentially before the NFL draft. Oh my God. That means they're going to have to rebuild a stadium. Okay, so they'd rebuild a stadium. Obviously, can't have poop pipe bursting. Can't have railings falling down, damn near ending quarterbacks' careers. So you got to move the stadium or rebuild it. You might have to rebrand it, rename it, redo whatever you have to do. So it's going to be a lot of work, but there has been officially two bids for the Washington Commanders. All right, now we got to get to the proposals. We got 5 proposals that we're going to talk about today. It's going to be quick, easy, lickety-split. The first proposal was allowing players to wear the number 0. Should this happen? Well, per Tom Pelissero, NFL owners just approved the proposal to allow players to wear number 0, I am told. Fantastic. So now everybody can wear number 0, excluding the offensive line and defensive line. If you're offense or defensive line, you can't wear number 0, obviously, okay? Even if you're a punter or a kicker, you can wear number 0. If you're a wide receiver, you can wear number 0. Running back, tight end, well, no, because they're technically offensive line, technically. So, be wide receiver, running back, quarterback, fullback, and everyone else on the defense can wear number 0. So, number 0 is finally legalized. I like it. I'm pumped for it. It should have been done a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken, just because who cares? It's a number. It looks sweet. Josh Gordon wears it in the XFL right now. I don't mind it. John says, I think tight end is okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because, Oh yeah, then it's definitely fine. So if Kyle Pitts is number 8, yeah, it's definitely fine then. I forgot that he was number 8. Yeah. So tight end should be allowed to wear number 0. The next one. The NFL owners have tabled the Philadelphia Eagles proposal to create a 4th and 20 alternative to the onside kick, I'm told. So not voted down, but further discussion is needed. Now, if I can pull up this tweet. What's up, GOAT Gamings? Yo, you changed it. It used to be Tyler Gamings. Okay, I see what's up. Let me go back to this. Where is it? So the reason why they tabled this, they kind of laid it out in pretty decent fashion. Right here. So it says the NFL Competition Committee Chairman Rich McKay says there's not an appetite yet to have the onside kick go away. They do want to get recovery rates up. The target is about 13 to 14%. But last year it was at an all-time low 4%. So they're going to keep discussing tweaks, but for 2023, no changes. Okay, so they're not going to change anything. They're going to try to make it more interesting. But 4% recovery rate for the offense or for the kicking team, not great. They're trying to get it to about 13 to 14%. So we'll see. I think it would have been cool to have a 4th and 20 alternative, kind of like what the XFL does. It's 4th and 20 on the 25 or whatever, on the 15-yard line. If you get it, it's your ball. If you don't, it's the other team's ball at that point or at that spot on the field, the 15-yard line, wherever the case may be. I'd be okay with it and make the game go by maybe a little bit smoother, and it'd be more interesting. Like, especially if you're down by a touchdown, you have one chance to throw it 20 yards downfield. You never know. But it'd be very cool. It'd be very cool. So that is that situation. The next one, I believe, is... Oh, yeah, this one. Boom. The Rams' proposal on roughing the passer and replay was not approved. It was actually not approved immediately. Immediately. As soon as it got brought up, they all said, all in favor? All opposed? Aye. Everyone in the room? All right, moving on. That's kind of how quickly it went. That, in turn, made the Detroit Lions take their proposal, take it off the table, crumple it up real quick, throw it away. They said, nope, we're pulling our proposal. That won't work. I believe their proposal was to make all personal fouls subject to coach's challenge, so no new replay review is here for judgment calls, something the competition committee has always opposed. So they basically wanted to make all personal fouls subject to coach's challenge, kind of like the XFL does, where if it's a pass interference or something like that, they can challenge it and stuff, as opposed to the NFL where you can't do that stuff. They pulled that proposal immediately after they decide not to do a replay on the roughing the passer. The Lions said, yeah, we'll just we'll pass on that one. Okay, we'll pass on that one. So there's another little proposal that was basically vetoed right away. I like this. I like the 0 rule. I'm okay with it. I don't know. I don't understand why it was never available in the first place. Like, it's a number. You should be allowed to wear it. At least wide receivers should have been allowed to wear it, or running backs should have been allowed to wear it, or quarterbacks should have been allowed to wear it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a number. If it's a number, you should be allowed to wear it. Okay? Pending position group, obviously. So I'm all for it. I am all for it. All right. Hey, you have a good one there, Tyler. You have a good one. Another one is Detroit's proposal on bringing back the 3rd quarterback rule was tabled. Rich McKay said some debate about whether that player could be a practice squad player or only an active roster player to dress on game day with a roster exemption. So basically what this is saying is, like, you can only have 2 active quarterbacks or 2 quarterbacks on your active roster for, game days, basically. And they wanted to bring in a 3rd because there's been situations in the past where your starting quarterback goes down. Then you have your second quarterback come down. Yeah. I agree. Lame it took this long. Absolutely. But what this one is like, if your starting quarterback goes down, you have to bring in your backup, right? What happens if your backup goes down? Well, then you got to put your punter or your kicker in at quarterback, and then you're kind of SOL. The rest of the game is done. See you later. So why not have the opportunity to have a third quarterback? Like, at least maybe, okay, so like you have 3 quarterbacks. Starting quarterback, backup quarterback, they both dress to start the game. You have a third active one on your roster. However, he doesn't dress. He has all of his stuff in the locker room, but he doesn't dress unless the starting quarterback goes down. If the starting quarterback goes down, boom, that third string goes in the locker room, gets changed just in case he has to come in because if the backup gets hurt. This is kind of what Detroit's asking for. Like, we should have at least 3 or, a practice squad player to be active, like on a roster exemption, like he's really not active, but he is just in case of an emergency type of thing. I like it. I think it's smart just because, why put the game in the hands of your punter or your kicker? I mean, I'm not saying they're bad because you never know what they can do, but you want a quarterback in there who knows the system, who knows the playbook at least a little bit better than the punter or the kicker. That's kind of what I'm looking at this as. So that was another proposal. It's been tabled, so they'll probably have to go back to it and see what they actually like. And the last one that we have to talk about, I believe, is this one. The NFL has approved making a tripping penalty into a personal foul moving forward. That's now a 15-yard penalty, and it was only 10 yards. Not much of a difference there. You're just taking 5 yards. So tripping penalty is now a personal foul, 15-yard penalty instead of 10. That was the last proposal. Also, we talked about the number 0. Who is going to be the first player to wear or to say they're wearing number 0? None other than a gambling man, somebody that goes and puts a parlay down on his own team, gets penalized for a whole year, has to sit out a whole year. Well, it's Jacksonville Jaguars receiver Calvin Ridley. He is officially going to be wearing number 0 this season. He was the first one to announce it. I'm sure there's going to be others to come. I like it. Can't wait to see it. I wish his hand wasn't covering the 0 because I think it would look sweet, but you get the idea. Dog. Calvin Ridley, baby. 0. I wonder who else is going to switch to 0. John, who do you think would wear, not specifically, what position group is going to have the most 0s? You think it's going to be wide receiver? Or do you think it's going to be quarterback? It's probably going to be wide receiver if I had to guess, or corner. Corner? That'd be kind of cool. I'm not really sure, though. I am not sure at all. But Calvin Ridley is the first. Probably receivers, tight ends, and corners. Okay? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That'd be the most 0s. Or running back. Maybe not so much running back. Still be a lot of single digits and running backs and double digits for sure. So, that is all we have right now. But we're going to hit the Twitter, and we're going to see what we have missed up to this point. Yeah, I don't either. I don't think they will. The Falcons have signed wide receiver Scotty Miller to a 1-year deal. He played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just a couple of seasons, or just last season for a couple of years, whatever, with Tom Brady and stuff. He's a great slot guy, moves down the field. He's very reliable, third stringer type of guy, fourth stringer type of guy, whatever you can, comes off the bench. I think he's okay. I think he's a decent player. This is a good move for Atlanta, getting another receiver on the books. Yeah, so John, I actually talked about that yesterday in my Vikings video. I guess the Vikings have been linked to drafting Hendon Hooker with the 24th overall pick. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I think he had a great pro day, or at least a decent pro day, to where his draft stock starting to trend up and stuff like that. So I went back and looked at his highlights. He was a dog, by the way. His stats were unbelievable. Like, over 3,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions or something like that. Like, this dude is the real deal. Like, he played phenomenal. Kind of a dual threat, more of a pocket passer, but he can get outside the pocket and really do his thing. The one bad takeaway, which is teachable, is that he is very, 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 very bad at selling the play action. Like, terrible. Like, I'm telling you, like, this dude, when he's taking the play action, he says, set hut, and he already has his eyes on his receiver, and he quick pulls it. I mean, it's just a quick boom. Every single time. Like, he's already ready. He knows where he's going to go with the ball, and he doesn't sell it at all. Where in the NFL, if you do that, you are going to get eaten alive. You're going to throw a million interceptions. It's just not going to work out. Where in college ball, you can afford to not really sell it. You can just look at your receiver, boom, toss. Stuff like that. He really needs to work on that, and I think it's very teachable. But other than that, I've seen a lot of good things on it. I think he throws a really nice deep ball. Pretty accurate in my opinion, at least from what I've seen, his highlights. So I didn't look at all the bad stuff, but his highlights, it looked like he was fairly accurate throwing the deep ball, hits his guys in stride, medium to deep, medium to short routes. Obviously going to be fine if you can throw the deep ball and stuff like that. But he has the ability to, what? No way. That's how much his draft stock is trending up. A season behind Geno wouldn't be bad. Damn. So is everyone just assuming what it'd be CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson for sure top 3 or top 4 at least? And then you're looking at what, number 5, Seattle going with Hendon Hooker? Oh, that was the only one mock. Still, I mean, if there's one out there that has it, there's probably a couple. Maybe. You never know. But I liked what I seen. I'm not 100% sure if his game's going to translate. It might, but he just has to work on selling the read option or the play action a little bit more. I like his ball. I think he throws a good one. Has the ability to move out of the pocket, inside the pocket, and kind of escape pressure and stuff like that. So I think he'll be fine. I think the big question is the injury. I can't remember what he exactly did, but I know it was an ACL maybe potentially. I could be way off on that, but he did have an injury in college last season or something like that. He needed surgery on, so that could be a point of how do you want to say it? A point of caution, I guess. But I'm pretty pumped. Yeah, I think he's more NFL ready than Richardson and Will Levis for sure. Absolutely. Better, maybe. I mean, we really don't know right now, but I could see that. So if I think he's more NFL ready, he's definitely better. And he does. Yeah, he does have the size over Bryce Young. But you also got to take in mind that Bryce Young did play against Georgia and was just fine, right? So people forget about that. That's kind of how I look at the situation. Yeah, he might be I guess, yeah, no, he might be small, but those Georgia Bulldogs defense, I mean, there's some big boys up there. So I think he'll be okay. But yeah, Hendon Hooker. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. If the Vikes draft him with the 24th overall pick and we still only have 5 corners on our roster, I'm going to be livid. I'm going to be so pissed. Not really. I'll be pumped, but I will be pissed that we don't have 6 or 7 corners on our roster because we only have 5. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's really tough to have success when you're that size. Also, let's see. The NFL has approved having just one roster cut down, meaning teams will trim rosters from 90 to 53 after the final preseason game. Okay. Wait, what? What? Oh my God. Okay. So this is basically saying, look, remember all those roster cut down days? They gone. They are gone. There's a period in time where we had to get from 90 players to 85 players, from 85 players to 75 players, from 75 players all the way down to 53. That has been changed to where now all 90 are on your roster until after the last preseason game has been played, which is Tuesday, August 29th. And I'm pumped for it. That's going to be exciting. 90. So that means what? 37 players on each team are going to get cut. Boom. In one day. Boom. That's great for the players because you have multiple opportunities to prove your worth. Like some guys, you get one game and a couple snaps and they're like, he didn't have his best game. Probably got to get rid of him. He's not going to pan out. So good for the players. Exactly. Absolutely. Ari Mirov says that means over 1,100 cuts around the NFL will take place after the third and final preseason game. Oh boy. That's a lot of jobs saying goodbye. See you later. Thanks for your services, basically. So that's cool. I like it. Like John says, good for the players. Good for the players. Talked about that. Who is that? Who's Johnson? This is... Gotta make sure I have the right name real quick. No, I have no idea who that is. Somebody said on whether he's anxious to get the trade done. We're anxious. I guess we look forward is that we're optimistic, but we have a plan, so we're willing to stick with our plan. I don't think anybody's hyperventilating at this point talking about the Jets. So the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. So they're not tripping over anything, but yeah. We've seen that. Scotty Miller to the Falcons on a 1-year deal. Oh, okay. The Thursday Night Football flex scheduling proposal was tabled until May per NFL EVP, Chief Media and Business Officer Brian Rolop. However, owners did approve a change that will allow a team to play 2 Thursday Night Football games in a season. For clarity, the change would allow a team to play on Thursday Night Football on a short week, twice in a season, so it doesn't include the Week 1 opener, a Thursday night game after a Thanksgiving game, etc., etc. So stuff like that. So we could be seeing a team play on Thursday night 2 times. Let's see. Yeah, the teams can now have 2 Thursday Night Football games per season. Limit was 1. Now that's changed. Flexing for Thursday Night Football is not happening for now just because you have to move a bunch of stuff around on the schedule. So if you get a Thursday Night Football game, most likely going to stay there. So sorry about it, but that is going to happen. Instead of 1 game for a team on Thursday night, you're going to have 2, or you might have 2. So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's see. What else are we missing? NFL says there's no promise all 32 teams are getting a primetime game. We want to make sure that teams competitively play their way into primetime. So I think this year, is it this year? No. Obviously, it's been the case every year. You're not guaranteed a primetime slot. All you have to do is play better football, okay? Be worth a damn. Win some ball games, and maybe you'll get a primetime game. That's what this boiled down to, okay? So if you don't have a primetime game start of the season, how about you go 10-0, okay? And make the NFL, flex you into a primetime game or something like that. So no bitching and moaning. If you want a primetime game, play better. Win some ball games. NFL confirms that moving forward, there will only be one NFL Red Zone channel. That's with Scott Hansen hosting. DirecTV's deal came to an end, and that version of Red Zone no longer exists. All right, perfect. Cool beans. Let's see. Patrick Mahomes is pissed about having 2 Thursday Night Football games. He put the emoji right above it, if you know what that is. He basically just said, come on, man. Like, what? So, Patrick Mahomes, not pumped at all. Let's see what else. All right, after having some battles over the years, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said that he's in favor of Commissioner Roger Goodell getting an extension. Sweet. Don't really care. Very strong stance from Giants owner John Mara. Flexing games to Thursday night is abusive. I'm adamantly opposed to it. Well, you can't get flexed there anyway, so sorry about it. But teams could have 2 Thursday Night Football games. That is all we have from the Twitter side of things. Nothing else is popping off. That is what has happened so far. We missed Saturday, we missed Sunday, we missed yesterday because of the next NFL game. But we got you guys the news, and that is the main part. That is what we came here to do. I appreciate everyone who stayed around and decided to tune in today. Appreciate everyone. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have, thank you guys so much. We'll be back here probably tomorrow at 6 p.m. to see what we can talk about. We'll probably make some stuff up. Just kidding. We'll talk about the real stuff and what is happening around the National Football League. I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'm going to go hit the gym, and we're going to get absolutely jocked, okay? Pump some iron, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, and you just got your fix with the Wicks.